Hi, welcome. This is MK Education Live. I'm Teacher Red, and today we'll be discussing a very special kind of lesson. So we'll talk about tips and short tasks to help you practice your English, especially your grammar. But before we start everything and go to our main lesson, I would like to discuss about our objectives is to be able to use text as source for language input through listening to short controlled text containing high frequency language items, as well as develop greater awareness of features of speech stream through listening. So basically, we're going to do here on this channel today, we're going to practice our listening skills as well as our listening comprehension. But before we go into deeply to our lesson, I want you to go to breakingnewsenglish.com for you to be able to scroll down and follow through our lesson. As I've said earlier, welcome to MK Education Live. So when you click our page, the breakingnewsenglish.com, you will see here our news headlines. So today, our topic is news as well as headline reading. So in our page, we have 6 levels. So these levels are based on how you are or what level you are as an English speaker. So we have here from level 0 until to level 6. So we have here print. This is our 2 print files for our lesson or practices that we're going to answer in our few of these topics later on, as well as listening. We have here a listening material as well. So we have a selection and a listening material. So if you're not really confident of how you speak English or how you read aloud a selection or a news, you can click here. For example, men start hand washing because of coronavirus. You can click here. And then after you click here, you can see print, listen, read, and grammar, spell, also words. Words are vocabularies. So these are activities that could help you improve your listening skills, your reading skills, your grammar, as well as your spelling and your vocab. So let's proceed. Let's read first our headlines on our page. Panic buying sparks toilet paper shortage. Men start washing hands because of coronavirus. Half of the world's beaches could disappear by 2100. Parents angry as COVID-19 shut schools for a month. George Clooney saddened over child labor links. Microsoft Flight Simulator includes all world airports. Japan starts selling sliced mayonnaise. London St. Pancras best railway station in Europe. Big breakfast help us burn double the calories. So here we're going to click our news. Men start hand washing because of COVID-19. Men start washing hands because of COVID-19. Men start washing hands because of coronavirus. Released on 8th March 2020. The spread of COVID-19 coronavirus had made more men wash their hands often, especially after going to the toilet. A recent survey of 2,000 men in UK found that 32% of them did not wash their hands after using the toilet. However, social media reports that more men are washing their hands in public toilets since outbreak of COVID-19. People on Twitter wrote that a month ago, it was unusual to see a man using a sink in a public toilet. Since the outbreak, more men have been washing their hands in public toilets. Dan McCoy, a writer from New York, said, quote, "For once, there are lines in men restrooms as coronavirus makes men wash their hands for the first time," end quote. Governments around the world have stressed the importance of regular hand washing. This is not just after using bathroom, but also throughout the day. Doctors say regular hand washing is the best way to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Health authorities in UK and USA have told people to wash their hands for at least 20 seconds each time, or the time it takes to sing Happy Birthday song twice. A seller into a UK radio station spoke about the first time he realized men were washing their hands. It was when he stopped at the toilet on a highway. He said, quote, "There were 8 sinks and men were washing their hands in all of them." He also said that men were spending a long time carefully washing their hands. Okay, so before I continue, or we continue to our discussion, I would like you to I would like you to know that you are free to leave a comment or message for us to make this meeting or this a session very cooperative and interactive as well. Okay, so let's continue. So what do we really do whenever we read a news? Or for example, we buy a newspaper. Or maybe we could just visit a news page online or on the net. First, I have here 5 tips whenever we are scanning or we are choosing news we're going to read. First, we have to scan. So scan headlines on the net or on the newspaper. And if you have unfamiliar words that you see there, you can check it or list it down for you to learn it more, or maybe search for the meaning of that word. 2 is if you are scanning on the net about the news you're going to read, you can email. For example, you see this news, you email it to yourself. The news, you email the news to yourself. So if you don't have time, if you're at work or you were walking and you see news that interests you, you email it to yourself, and when you have time later on, you can read the news you linked to your email. So whenever reading a news, you can have a online tool or a dictionary to help you out whenever there are words or unfamiliar phrases that you meet throughout reading. That would help a lot. Third is learn to make predictions before you read. So whenever we kind of like read headlines where we already had that idea. For example, here in the selection that we previously read. Oh, yeah, I read here in the comment, "I don't wash my hand, teacher, before I eat." Yeah, but you should, because we said earlier the benefits of hand washing. And I can see that Mr. Troy Balicena is a male. So I have a question for you. Do you often really wash your hands since you're a male and you're talked here? Do you wash your hands whenever you're finished washing the toilet? Or you do your thing on your toilet? You can leave your comment down below. Okay, let's continue for a third one. Learn to make predictions before you read. So whenever we read our headlines, we have that idea already what the selection or the body of the news is about. For example, men start washing hands because of coronavirus. Headlines, in summary, kind of like say it all. Yeah. So when you have read this headline, men start washing hands because of coronavirus, you already know that the selection below it is about men and washing hands, and as well as it is related to coronavirus. And then as you further read the news, you can see the structure that kind of like our WH question is on the top, or the first phrases of our news, and the least important, for example, here you can see at the bottom, the news writer here quoted some writers, and some added also some information like singing happy birthday is the correct duration of hand washing. Whenever we read this topics or this ideas are kind of like the least that we wanted to know whenever we read the news. So as you notice, as you notice, I just read from Sir Troy Big No. Yeah. So I think you should, if you don't really wash your hands very often, I suggest that you bring sanitary alcohol or wipe whenever you go or wherever you go, I guess, because not washing your hands after using the toilet is very unsanitary. Yes, it is. You cannot, it's not just about coronavirus, I think, but mainly more people tend to wash their hands nowadays because they wanted to prevent coronavirus. But it's a very good practice if every one of us often wash our hands, even before we eat, before we touch our face, before we go to sleep, and especially after we use the toilet. Because I know for sure anything that you do inside your restroom or your toilet, it's kind of like nasty. So I think you should really wash your hands. Okay, going back to our lesson. Our fourth is learn to summarize. So whenever we read our article, for our comprehension as well, whether we are listening to it or we're reading ourselves the selection, we should summarize. For example, in our news here about hand washing, we know that it's related to COVID-19, that men tend to wash their hands more often because they wanted to go away or maybe eradicate or the tendency of having coronavirus. Yeah, and that's the point. So we already know that main factual thing whenever we read a paragraph or a selection. So that's it. And lastly, rewrite. Rewrite, what should we rewrite? Our headlines. So why do you think we need to rewrite our headlines? Is there anyone there who's watching who would really like to suggest why we should rewrite our headlines? We should rewrite our headlines for us to enable to practice our grammar. As you notice, here in our headlines, or most of our headlines don't have articles. So our headlines are kind of like shortened up to make impact. And that is the point of writing headlines. Whenever a person just scan or run through a headline, he would see that, for example, men start washing hands because of coronavirus. So this headline is, yes, this is not grammatically wrong, but it is lacking. But if you're just gonna like put a plain sentence as our headline, it would be kind of like plain and boring, and it's not how journalism works. So but on our side, for us to practice our grammar, we could rephrase our headlines in order for us to do this, to complete the sentence. And as we notice in our headlines, the simple present is used for present and past events. This always happen, and this is a correct rule, or this is a often, well, I think this rule is really used in headlining. Yeah. So even though it's the event is past or it is present, they still use simple present, as I said earlier, to give impact. Okay, so let's continue to our next news. Our next news. Breaking news English. Our lesson is vanishing beaches. Half of the world's beaches could disappear by 2010. Rising sea level could see the demise of half of the world's beaches by the end of this century. Climate scientists predict that 50% of sandy beaches along the world's coastlines could vanish over the next 8 decades. If climate change continues its current path, the scientists are from European Commission Joint Research Center. They warned that the shorelines of many highly populated areas and tourist spots are threatened by erosion from climate change and surging sea levels. Areas that are at risk of disappearing forever include well-known popular beaches in Australia's surfers' paradise, the island of Hawaii, Brazil's Copacabana beach, and the Costa del Sol in Spain. The scientists reported that sanctuaries like the Gambia and Guinea-Bissau in Africa are predicted to lose over 60% of their beaches. The country to be worst affected is Australia. Their 12,000 kilometers of coastline could end up under water forever. The researcher wrote that, quote, a substantial proportion of the world's sandy coastline is already eroding. The situation that could be exacerbated by climate change. This could result in the near extinction of the world's sandy beaches by the end of the century, end quote. Researcher co-author Dr. Michelins Vosdukas said that there were 2 important ways we could reduce this trend and save the beaches. He said, we had to reduce emission and manage our coastline in a more substantial way. So yeah, do you have ideas or something to share about this news? I actually have something to share to you. In the Philippines, because I'm the Philippines, we have this island called Boracay. And in Boracay, we have, it is a very known tourist spot. So most Koreans or even foreigners go there to enjoy the beach, the sun, the tan and everything. But since it had opened for a few years, Boracay had become very polluted and overpopulated. But last year, it was rehabilitated because there was an environmental rehabilitation by our president. It was rehabilitated, and now it's renewed. And I think, on my opinion, we have to start to be very conscious of what we are doing about our environment. Look, I'm not trying to be an environmental advocate here, but at least I could try. Yeah, so Yeah, I think we should like what happened to Boracay, and now if you'd go there, you could, and you if you have go there like 4 years ago, you could really see the difference because 4 years ago bars are really on the coastline. It's like water bar. Whenever you go out on the bar, you can see water. But now some of the bars who have reached the sea line or the shoreline, they were um, evacuated, I guess, to a different business area. So Boracay looks cleaner and a lot better right now. So you should go here and visit Boracay. But yeah, I think whenever you can go to Boracay nowadays, there are like you can't go there as a walk-in tourist because they are limiting the visit count in Boracay. Okay, so let's continue. So we actually have a lot here of news still that we can read, but I would like to read this one. Japan starts to sell Japan starts selling sliced mayonnaise. Whatever will they think of next? A food manufacturer in Japan has invented a new product that seemed destined to become a huge global bestseller. The imaginative new culinary invention is called sliced mayonnaise. Japanese food company Bourbon believes their handy new comestible will catch on big time. The mayonnaise slices are called mayo sheets on the label of the product in Japan. The packaging described the item as being a sheet like condiment that is good for easy cooking. The mayo slice or sheet come in two flavors, spicy kodro or mentayako in Japanese or in Japan, and tuna. A spokesperson from company hopes people will add its mayo slice and liven up sandwich and enhance the taste of pasta. So I've been here for kind of like a few minutes, and I think I only have a few minutes left. So I'm going to conclude this session of ours. And yeah, thank you everyone for being here in our channel today to be with me in this class. And I hope you could be as interactive and as cooperative in our class to our next class. Yes, as much as if you have been here a few times ago, you could see other teachers singing. So this channel really makes English more fun and interesting. So I think that's all. Goodbye.